it's funny because everyone who does love it so much, it always like means the world to them.
Yes.
And I think that just goes to show the impact that it's truly had on anyone who had like the privilege of like coming across it like on 4 Kids during that
Yes.
time. And I just can't even imagine not having them be a part of my life. Like it just makes me want to watch it right now so
I
bad.
know.
Like
I know, literally. Hey there. Welcome to the Winx Forever podcast. I'm Lola, creator, host, and lifelong Winx fan. I'm taking a deep dive into the very cool universe of Winx Club. So, whether you've been a Winx fan since 2004, like myself, or you vaguely remember it from your childhood, or even if you're being introduced to it for the first time, I want to say welcome. This is the Winx Forever podcast. Hello, fairy friends, and happy 20 years to Winx Club in the US. That's right, 20 years ago on Saturday, June 19th, 2004, Winx Club first aired on what was known at the time as the Fox Box, later known as 4Kids TV, and then even later known as the CW 4Kids. Today we have a very special episode, or should I say very special episode. We got to sit down and talk with Serena, aka Girl Underwater, or you might know her as the gorgeous, gorgeous girl who loves soup on TikTok. Serena is a Winx Club fan and a doll collector, and we got to talk about all things nostalgic about growing up with Winx Club in the US. And it was a really special conversation. I am super excited that Serena reached out to me to come on the show and to get to connect in this way with fellow US Winx fans. So sit back and enjoy my conversation with Girl Underwater. Hello, fairy friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Winx Forever podcast. I am your host, Lola Valentine. As we continue to celebrate all things Winx during its 20th anniversary year, I'm very excited to get very nostalgic with today's guest. You might know her as the gorgeous, gorgeous girl of TikTok, Serena, aka Girl Underwater. Serena, welcome to the show.
Hi, hi. Thank you for having me on your show, Lola
Of
Valentine.
course. Thank you for listening to the podcast and reaching out. And I know that you and I have followed each other on TikTok for a while now. I, like so many of us, of course, found your account from your viral moment a few years ago of your gorgeous, gorgeous girls love soup. And
Yes.
but like when watching your other videos, I noticed you had like some very noticeable familiar dolls in your collection. I was like,
Yeah.
my girl's a Winx girly. All right, let's go.
And
And
thank
so
God, just like I feel like you never see like I don't know, I feel like it's rare that someone like blows up and then you go to their account and they have like all of the like glam magic enchantix dolls just like in their background
right.
and you're just like, oh, okay, so we're like one and the
Yes, I
same.
was like, "Oh, okay, we are on the same page. We're vibing." Yes. It was really cool to see. I was like, "Oh, all right." And speaking of glam magic, your hair right now very glam magic bloom, which I
Oh,
love.
thank you. I did specifically, I don't know if you can see like the color blend, but there's like the darker
Yes.
red and there's like the more like vibrant orange.
I
And I
love.
have been styling it like this just so I wish I had some of like her like blue little heart. And
Yes.
I need to get those. And all I want
Yes.
to wear is blue. Like I just feel I'm like genuinely to be compared to her recently, ever since I did my hair like this, is like genuinely a dream, like
Yes.
on such a deep level. Like as a like as a trans woman, like and to have such a close-knit connection to Winx Club and Bloom and all of the characters for someone like I just when I was little, I wanted to be Bloom, Enchantix
Yes.
Bloom so bad. I mean, like any of them really, but like I do remember thinking Bloom specifically was so beautiful. And just to have people be like, wow, you look just like Enchantix Bloom. Like I can feel my little self being like, finally, like thank
Yes.
God.
We
Yeah,
made it.
like she's like, oh my God, like thank God, finally we have that hair. Like it's just
Oh,
thank you so much for like
yes.
addressing it. That's so sweet. And you look
Of
so
course.
beautiful too, also.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I just did my makeup for the first time like all week. So we're
Me
doing
too.
great.
Me too. I swear before this, I looked like not even in like a self-deprecating way, like I looked like a rat, like before this. Like
A lady rat.
yeah,
Same.
exactly.
Lady rat TM. Um Oh my God. But I love that, we are finally here getting to talk about our favorite fairies together. I do want to give our audience a chance to get to know you a little bit and your Winxer background. So let's dive into it. I would love to know, what was the first time that you remember ever seeing Winx Club, and what attracted you to this very niche fairy show?
Okay, so I was thinking about this and I truly don't know if I can pinpoint exactly when because
Yeah.
Lola, like I feel like when I think of my life, like I can't remember a time being conscious where I didn't know what Winx Club was or and liked it.
Right.
Like genuinely, since I was so I think maybe if I can think of some of my first memories, I can think of taking out the like season one Mattel Bloom at Toys R Us. I
Yes.
remember that. I do remember vividly when season two, I think, was coming out. Yes. When Pixie Magic Layla was released with the Pixie Magic shows, I remember going to
Yes.
Walmart and I have this vague memory of seeing her. And I don't think I'd seen the second season yet because I think I was like 5 when that came out, I'm pretty sure. And but I remember seeing her and being like, who is this? Like, is
Yes.
this a new girl? Like, who is this? And I thought she was so beautiful. And I remember seeing like those translucent pink,
Mm,
like the shield, and I'm and being like, oh,
yes.
like what is that? So I remember that. Um, I remember having one of the DVDs for like a video now, I believe.
Yes. Oh
And I
my God,
remember
the
watching
video nows. Can
yes.
we describe to our audience? Because I mean, we have a lot of young fans in the fandom now, thanks to like all the like different like versions of Winx Club there are now in the
Yeah,
world the past 20 years. So video now, God, before iPhones, before you could have just
video
like
now.
videos on your cell phone, video now was a pocket video player. Like it was literally the size, well, bigger than an iPhone. It was like an iPad mini. It was like that
Yes.
size. And
Yes,
you
it
would
was
get
like a
these,
little screen,
yes,
and it was
and it was
so
terrible.
pixely. It was so, so fried and pixelated looking. But like that was just, at the time, like you didn't really think of that though. All you're thinking is, oh my God, Wings Club is playing on this little tiny
Yes.
square.
And I could take
Like,
it anywhere. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I just
Oh my
I
God.
loved that, like all of that little stuff. I remember like the commercials. I remember I think the reason why it was so intriguing to me, which I thought a lot about this. I think this is a very like integral part of my being genuinely as a human
Yeah.
because when I was younger, as a trans woman, like obviously, you know, my mom and my sister were really just like, whatever, girl, like, whatever, like
Yeah.
be yourself. But my dad was very, 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 very like, at
Yeah.
me wanting to be anything but like masculine and like go like play baseball. Yeah. Like
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to brush my Flora's hair all night long.
Yes.
So I remember I'm pretty sure my sister was watching Bratz on 4 Kids because she was really into Bratz at the time. And I think through flipping channels, I think Winx Club came on. I think that is, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm like, I feel like that is what is coming to me as like probably what happened. But I just remember seeing them and the art style, and
Mm.
it was so like they looked so specific to me, the art style, and I really appreciated that even at like a really young age. I don't know how I
Mhm.
did, but I was like I really liked how their knees were so skinny and their
Yes.
calves were so like round. Like I just loved how that looked to my eye. Like I started like drawing all of the characters I ever
Yes.
drew with Winx Club legs, but I just remember they were so hyper feminine and so sparkly and beautiful, and their hair was like
Yeah.
animated in this certain way, and it was like they were everything that I like. I looked at that and I felt like, oh, I'm the same as that. Like not even more so
Yes.
than just the fact that they were girls, but just like their whole essence, like they and like also the fact that it not only was so hyper feminine, but it also had such an overarching like plot with so much depth and lore.
Yes.
And there was like, they weren't always just like, I feel like a lot of hyper feminine things are so looked over in media. I feel like people don't usually give hyper feminine media like really deep, like overarching lore and
Yeah.
plots and like, many different struggles and whatever it is. So that duality of it, I think, is what made it so fascinating to me.
Mhm.
And also just like, it was genuinely just the most beautiful thing I'd seen yet in my life. Like, I can't remember being so struck with something before Winx Club. I was just like, "Oh my god, like this is it. Like this is what I like. This is so beautiful." And then just from there, I remember like I was drawing them. I would when I started learning how to use the internet, I learned
Yes.
how to use the internet so that I could buy Winx Club stuff off the
Yes.
internet. Like that's why I started using the internet so I could look at Winx Club on YouTube, like
Yes.
that like late 2010s, like 2007 to 10 era
Mhm.
of like YouTube, Winx Club YouTube, like
Elite.
it
Elite.
was it was so like that's how I learned. Like I don't understand anyone in this world who doesn't know Every Time We Touch by Cascada from anything besides Winx Club.
It's
Like,
literally same. Literally same.
and I was hoping you would because that's how I know who that artist is because all of the videos, like the grainy ass videos of them transforming with like, cause every time we touch, I get this. And I remember like that one that was like, be my bad boy, be
Oh
my blah,
my
blah,
god. And then there was a Kelly
blah.
Clarkson Break Free one. Wasn't there? Or Breakaway? Oh my god, the one with Musa.
Yeah.
I was obsessed.
Yes.
And there was
Oh
a
my god.
random one. Did you ever this one I feel like is a fever dream. Did you watch the one? It was the song by Bare Naked Ladies and it was a Riven Musa one. Do you remember that one?
I'm not sure about that one, but I wonder if you remember the one with Dark Bloom that was like Angel of
Oh
Darkness.
my god. Yes. I the people making these and posting them to the internet in this time, like gods, like what were they doing? Oh my
Yes,
god.
where are they now? I want to know where are they now because that raised me. Like that is like
Yes.
a part of me. Those Oh my god, and yeah, just I just felt like it was perfect, like, as a really
Mhm.
young baby and everything that came after, like, the YouTube we could, like, dive more into that too, like, the YouTube, like, culture of it,
Oh
but
my
yeah,
god.
just to answer
Yes.
your question fully, like, I just it was like they were like a safe place
Mm.
for me growing up, and I felt like they were my friends, I felt like I knew them, I really did,
Mhm.
like, they were some of my first friends, I felt was the characters, like, of course, I'm talking about 4 kids, like, I remember when I got, like, a little older, like, any other iteration of the characters I ever witnessed, I was like, "Oh god," like, never, never, like, never. Not to disrespect anyone who grew up with that, because I totally
Oh,
understand,
yeah.
but just from my perspective, like, in my head, I'm just like, "Oh my god," like, who are those people? Like, those characters, like, they are so bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
this is a really hot take, I feel, and I hope I don't, like, hurt anyone's feelings, but that, like, Cinnaloom or okay, is Cinnaloom and R
They're
Rain
they're
Ray
they're the same one, yeah.
the same? That dub is insane. Like, I cannot believe that dub is real. I'm sorry. It is so bizarre to me that people think that's better. Like, I know that's really people have the same experience as, like, us with those,
Yeah.
but, like, if we're really looking objectively, I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I don't get
Yes.
it.
Yeah. No,
Seriously.
I have to agree with you, and if anyone's listened to my podcast for long enough, they know, I am a 4 Kids stan through and through.
Yeah.
And I like you said, I understand where people will come from, with their attachment to the dubs that they grew up with. A
Yeah.
lot of people like the Rye slash Cinnaloom dub for being like the closest and most accurate to the Italian, but like I ask, at what cost?
Yes.
Because it is
Genuine.
very rough for me to watch because I'm just like, where is the like cinematography? Where is the like story and the
Yes.
emotion and the like connection? Like
Yeah.
all these things that 4 Kids really, really honed in on. I mean, they had a lot of practice, of course, with like dubs like the Pokemon dub that they did for 10 years
Yes.
and, all of the IPs that they worked on. But I mean, Winx Club was in really capable hands in the US in, those early years in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I
I'm really grateful
completely
we grew up with this dub.
I feel like if it wasn't this dub, I don't think I would feel as attached to it. I really don't because
Yeah.
and you know what, another thing too that makes it almost, like, hard for me to even fathom
Mhm.
watching it is because the music, there's no like, the music being not the 4 Kids music,
Yeah.
that is one thing that I feel like that stuck with me the most with the 4 Kids
Mhm.
dub is the music. Those songs, the one that's like, "I need to know why I've got wings." Oh my god, that song kills me. I know, right?
Oh,
It's,
it's
like, so
so
good.
good.
Um, I also like the one that's like, "Just one of the boys feeling alright. He sees
And
the
they're in
girl."
Blackmud Swamp and they're dancing around and like, oh, well, they're
Yeah.
not dancing. They're like on those little clumps of like turf. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like yes.
Ah, I
They're just
love
so
it.
capable.
Did you know? So, did you know that the singer for the Winx Club soundtrack for the 4 Kids dub, her name is Molly Weaver, and she has a band currently, and it's like indie, like rock, western rock, and it's like it's all I listen to it. I'm like, this is the 4 Kids Winx Club extended soundtrack. Like if we like grew
Oh
up,
my
got
god,
older, and started listening to indie music, like this is it. And so I need to send it to you. It's called like Mickey
please send
Neely.
that.
Yeah, it's I will send it to you. It's so
Oh,
great. They played like South by Southwest, I think, a couple years ago, and I was like, all right, pop off. So
wow. Okay,
yeah.
you're amazing though, because genuinely, the other day, I swear this was like a week ago, I was listening to this YouTube video that has like all the 4 Kids songs. I think it's ripped from the Quest of the Codex game, I think.
Yes.
You know what? With the Musa and
Yes.
Chantix cover. Yes, I listen to that all the time. I always listen to that
Oh
video.
my
And I was
god.
listening to it and I was thinking to myself, like, who is this that is singing? Who is this? Because I never really thought about it. And I was like, I wonder if I could figure it out. And I tried looking up like who is singing in the 4 Kids dub of Winx Club, like who is singing the songs.
Yes.
I couldn't really find it. Actually couldn't. So that's so funny that you're like, oh, so did you know that? Like, that's so funny.
Oh
And
my
thank
god.
God.
Yes, like I've been trying to, it's so hard to track down a lot of these people, right? Because I mean, they dubbed this very niche random show, in some studio in New York 20 years ago. So it's like it's so hard to track down these people now, especially with a dub that is like it's kind of it's almost been almost we won't allow it, but it's almost been erased from the history of the fandom, which is really really unfortunate. And so for me, preserving this history for fans like us is
Yeah.
really important, because like we're just as important as the European fans, or as like fans of the Nick dub, god bless them. And like it's just
Right.
we we deserve to have this preserved. I'm sorry, Nick Dub fans,
Yes.
like you guys got a brutal deal, and I'm so
I'm
sorry
so
for you.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, like,
And
okay.
that's yes, yeah, yes.
That's literally all. Like, I know exactly what you mean. Like, even just by with just okay. Like, I. It's just I can't even find the right way to put it into words. Like, I'm really sorry though. Like, I'm really really sorry. And uh-uh. I I just you know what's burned into my brain, because when that came out, I was excited and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
like it's coming back, whatever." Immediately when I saw those first, like, big, like, mini, like, movie things they made for, like,
yeah, the
right,
TV
to
movies.
recap,
Oh my
I immediately was like, "Uh, I don't think so." Like,
god.
what
Like,
the hell is this?
oh.
I'm sorry, it was just so, like it was hard to, take it seriously, I guess, as someone who grew up with 4 kids.
I wanna kind of shift gears a little bit, because we can talk crap about Nick Dub all day long, and I can
Yes,
for
of
sure.
course,
Uh,
of course.
but I wanna ask this, because I think it's so interesting, and a lot of people have a lot of different reasons. But what specifically about Winx Club has kept you engaged with the IP for so long, but also just like, I mean, like kind of in the fandom too?
You know, I will say, I know we just talked about this, like, just a little bit before, but I have a strange, like, relationship, I think, with the concept of the fandom, because I think that I find the characters and the existence of Winx Club to be so deeply rooted into my life and, like, my
Hmm.
childhood memories, my traumas even. I feel like Winx Club has been present in and, like, a comfort for me since I can remember, genuinely. Like, one of the first things that I ever could tell that I really resonated with, and clearly enough to the point where I'm 23 years old, and I'm still just as deeply in love with it, and, like, finding
Yeah.
it to be even better as I get older. Like, it ages well with me,
Hmm.
but I think it feels so sacred to me. It feels so special that I think sometimes I want to kind of, like, hold it to myself. Like, I just wanna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like, these are my friends, like, this is" like, so I think when I hear, I don't know, like, anyone who kind of doesn't have, like, the same perspective of it, I'm just
Mm.
not interested in talking about it with them if it's not, like, exactly the same, which I
Yeah.
know that I don't typically feel that way with, like, anything else. But for some reason with Winx Club, I do feel that way.
Mm.
So
It's just so
I do think
personal.
sometimes, yes, it's just like
Yeah.
extra personal. So I don't really know if I'm very engaged in the Winx fandom. Like, I will talk about it here and there with people who are like, oh, I love it. But if
Mhm.
anyone is like, I love the Nick dub, or I love seasons 5 through 8, and season 6 is my favorite season ever, and I love Butterflicks, and I love the Jax dolls, or love
Oof.
the new Woody dolls. That's so amazing and gorgeous, and I'm glad that they can enjoy it because I wish I could, genuinely,
Right?
but I
Yes.
just can't. I just don't like it. It's not
Yeah.
what I think of them as, so
Mhm.
I think I just am not interested unless it's like,
Yeah.
you love 4 Kids and you love the Mattel doll, like, that's all I want. It's like just that. So I would say
Yeah.
that for that question, with the IP though specifically, I just think genuinely there's not really been anything like it since it's come out.
Mhm.
I think it's so one of its kind, and I think there's so many intricacies to it that you start to be able to perceive better as you grow up and you, like, rewatch it,
Mhm.
or, like, you perceive it differently. So many things. I've been rewatching it with I just thought of something. I've been rewatching it with my partner, and he's never seen it before, and I was like, "Will you please
Okay.
just watch it with me?" Like,
Yeah.
even though you probably won't really like it. And he was like, there was, like, one episode, I think it was the one where I think it was the Day of the Rose episode where Bloom, Musa, and Stella stay behind because they don't really
Yeah.
have, like, a home to go back to per se, and they, like, started getting upset, and Musa was like, "I lost my mom," and Stella was like, "My parents are divorced," and, like, I remember he's like, "Oh, this is, like, real."
Yes.
He's like,
Yes.
"Oh, this is, like, actually, like," he's like, "Why is this sad?" And I was like,
Because it's
because
real.
it's real." It's like,
Yes.
actually, this is, like, a real show, like, it's not just, like,
Cute little
sun
fairies in mini skirts.
power.
Yeah.
Right, which is also stunning, even if it was just
Yes.
that, but, like, it's
Exactly.
not the but, yeah, I've been rewatching it, and I've just been noticing a lot of different things about, like, the
Yeah.
characters and things I didn't really pick up on, and this is really random, but do you remember in the episode Spelled where Musa yells at Riven and she goes, "You're a two-faced playa."
Yes. That lives rent free in my head. I kid you not. I'm like,
I
Musa.
lo I never caught that before until this rewatch, and when she said that, I looked at my partner and he was like, and I was like, "Oh my god." It was
Oh
so funny. His face, he was just like and I
And
was like, "Oh my
oh
god."
my gosh, I know. And like
It's
earlier
hilarious.
in that episode when she's like kicking around her can and she's like,
And she's
"Don't
like,
mind me. I'm just working on my beats." Like, girl, no one was paying attention to you. It's okay. You didn't have to say that. I had secondhand embarrassment for my girl. Like,
Yes,
no.
there's for sure, there are there are certainly parts where you're just kinda like, "Oh my god." But I think that's so
It's
funny, like,
charming. Yes.
I just think it's funny, like, on the director's part, like, to throw that in there, like, I just think that's funny, and I
Yeah.
feel like they brought a lot of humor to it, but yeah, I don't know. Wings Club is just gorgeous, like, it's just, like,
Mm.
I like that it's hyper feminine, and I like that they stuck to that. I
Yes.
like that they don't, because I really, really, truly feel like there is such a lack of hyper feminine media in
Mhm.
anything. I mean, it goes to show how different it is, especially in this time period, the way that they brought it back for Fate, the Winx saga, and it looks like, like a dark academia thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's so sad. Like, why can't they just be the glittery,
Mhm.
sparkling miniskirt, cascading haired, heeled girls? Like, why can't
Yeah.
they just be like that? But also be, on a mission to figure out why, their home planet was like almost, genocided by ancestral witches. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like, why
Yes,
can't those
yeah.
things coexist with each other?
Right. And I think that it's been really interesting to like grow up with a franchise like this because 20 years is a long time. It's a long ass time. Like, and going through all of the like different iterations and interpretations of like what a Winx Club story is. It's like Fate had the components of a Winx Club story, but to call it like an adaptation, I think is a stretch because like you said, like the hyper like feminism in Winx Club is so like central to what Winx is. And I know that the fandom is so tired of hearing about the Winx DNA because Eugenia Strappy and Rainbow keeps talking about whatever the hell Winx DNA means. But to me, that is part like that's baked into Winx Club is yeah, like
Ah,
it was so ahead of its time and still as you mentioned, like there hasn't been anything like it since either. It's a lightning in a bottle. And I think that if like we as a fandom and also just like even Rainbow to a point, if they could just like accept that that the early seasons, the golden era of Winx Club was lightning in a bottle and we're never gonna have that again, I think that we'd be a lot happier. I think
yes,
we'd be a lot happier as a fandom.
I think so too.
Oh
I
my
feel
god.
like it's one of those things where it's like a don't fix it if it's not broken kind of
Yes.
thing. And I really wish, can you imagine like if, okay, I feel like season 4 is such a like bridge to me between
Mhm.
like what I like and then when it starts to just become very different. But I really wish that some of those seasons, especially 4 specifically,
Mhm.
and maybe even 5, sure. Like I wish that it could have remained in the vein of the original couple
Yeah.
seasons and maybe still be voiced by 4 kids, maybe. That would
I
be cool.
know. I
Oh,
know.
and, like, maybe Mattel could have kept the license and, like, Giochi Preziosi could have kept the license in, Europe, and, like, there could have been like, I fantasize about that all the time, and I
Yes.
really just feel like going back to their roots, I really think is the only option that's going to reignite like an intense like excitement for it.
Mhm.
Well, granted, I don't really know how it's doing in Europe really, but I
I feel like it's a lot of nostalgia baiting for sure, like for European fans
yeah,
because they grew up with it even more so than we did. And they
yeah,
got way more things than American fans did for sure. And so I feel like in a way we're in this like Winx Club Renaissance where like they're trying to capture
yeah.
what that essence was of the classical and golden eras. And it's just like, oh, we're gonna take a short break real quick, but before we do, I love to lead my guests in a round of rapid fire questions
Oh,
about Winx Club favorites. So, Serena, are you ready?
yes, I'm ready.
All right. All right, here we go. Who's your favorite Winx Club member?
I'm gonna say overall, Layla slash Aisha.
Ooh.
I just think of her as Layla, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna say, especially like character design wise,
Mm.
Layla. I will say personality wise, Stella for sure. I love Stella.
Yes.
I've always loved her. But when I was little, Flora was my favorite. I think I loved
Mm.
how gentle she was. But
Mm.
I would say Layla and Stella are like right there, like
Hmm.
right there tied with each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's your favorite season?
I feel like season 1 is just my favorite
So
season.
good.
Like, I just think it's kind of perfect, but season 3, of course, is, like, right there, and season 2 is very underrated as well. Like, I love all of them, but I think I really enjoy watching season one. I just think it's
Mhm.
so like, oh my God, like season one, you know?
Yeah. It's really comfortable for me to watch. Like that's the
Yeah,
one that I can quote the most for sure.
me too.
Like,
Me too.
oh my God. Who is your favorite specialist?
Helia, immediately. Helia is my favorite. I just
Same,
think he's
same.
so sweet. He's so like I thought he was so dreamy when I was little, and he was so sweet to Flora. And I thought that they were
Oh,
like the perfect, like I thought their relationship was so cute. Like, of course
it
she would
was
like
definitely the
him, you know.
least problematic of all of the ones in the show.
Yes, for sure. And I like that about it. It was just so wholesome, their connection they
Yes.
had.
Oh, yeah. And like too, like, I just so vividly remember his introduction in season two and just being like, oh, I was just
Like,
like,
wow.
I was got, like, you had me. Like, yes.
Yes. And his outfit was so cute. That
The
like pale
flowy
green.
top. Oh my God. Yes. And then your favorite Winx Club movie.
Isn't there like only like three,
There's
right?
only three. We don't like to talk about the third one, but yes.
Right. Definitely I'm like I just think Secret of the Lost Kingdom is kind of the only one I really like, to
Yep.
be honest.
Yep.
The second one is okay. Like the
Yeah.
magical adventure, I think.
The
The
animation is really
first
pretty in
one,
that movie.
the animation in Secret of the
Mhm.
Lost Kingdom was so like wistful and like
Oh,
delicate and gentle and like it looked like
their
porcelain.
wings.
Yes, her
Yes.
wigs,
Oh my
and that's
God.
oh my God, the transformation. I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever when that started to leak on YouTube before it was
Yes.
in English.
Yes.
And I was so
Yes.
jealous because I couldn't really watch it for like a minute, like at least like a year.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't even watch it. And then when I finally did, I was like, wow, like I never thought this day
We
would
were
come.
I
So
know, we
that
were
one
just out
hurt.
here eating crumbs as US
Yes,
Winx fans.
exactly.
Like, hello.
We
My
were
God.
always eating crumbs. We were always eating crumbs during the season three, like rollout of everything.
Oh my God.
Ah. And of course,
So,
that's like the
so
best
sweet.
one.
No, I know. I know. Oh my God. Oh, and then what's your favorite transformation?
I know this is so basic, but Enchantix is
It's gotta
just,
be. It's gotta
I'm
be.
sorry, like, I think it's the prettiest fairy collection of fairy designs
Hmm.
ever made. Like,
Yeah.
especially those prototype ones where they're all like, and like their legs are like crossing.
Yes.
Like, they're just flawless. They're flawless. I
Mhm.
just think it's one of those things where like, yes, everyone's favorite is Enchantix, but that's just because it's the
It's
best
perfect.
one. It's the
Yeah,
best one.
it
But I
really
also
is.
love season one, of course, forever. So iconic. But Enchantix, yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. There's not a right answer, but right answer.
Right. Yeah.
And then your favorite romantic relationship of the show?
I'm gonna say Flora and Helia for sure, but
Yeah.
honestly, if we can do like a fanship moment, I
Okay.
want, I would just root so deeply for Layla and Musa.
Oh,
I,
yo.
yes,
Yes.
I just like
Oh.
wanted, like in another universe where that was something that could have become a thing at the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't that have been so cute if like because they got so
Yes.
close and they like went out like dancing together and they were like sitting by the tree and like Layla's hair was
Mm.
blowing in the wind and then Misa could have been like wow she's beautiful and like maybe they
Oh,
could have like I don't know like
yeah.
that's like my dream relationship but yeah
I
I would say
love
Flora and Helia though are just the sweetest.
it.
They just like look
Yes.
they're a cute pairing I think.
I like the way that they look together aesthetically and just like they're just both so I mean and they're artsy, like the artsy couple.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And then favorite villain of the show.
It's so hard because like I just think of course Icy Darcy and Stormy are just like no words for how great those characters are. I do think that Baltor is or Valtor?
Yeah.
Valtor. Didn't it say Baltor in the
They
four kids?
do in the four, and I don't know why I've never been able to get a real answer out of anyone for that.
Yeah, that was weird because I think Valtor sounds better. I will give them that
I
one.
think
Like
so too. Yeah.
Valtor does sound weird, but Valtor, like I thought he was really like sexy when I was like younger. Like I was like,
Absolutely.
wow. But honestly, ever since I can remember, I've just always found Darcy very intriguing as a character.
Yes.
I feel like you
Yes.
would eat in a Darcy cosplay. Have you ever
I
thought
have
about that?
thought about it. I have. Darcy is one of my favorites, not just because she's voiced also by Karen Tackett, who voiced Stella, but
Yes, yes.
I just her character, her like 70s aesthetic, like I love her. She is so good. I think that she's like the perfect blend, I think, of like diabolical from like Icy and also like kind of like like funny, like Stormy. Like she's like the perfect middle
Yeah,
child, like for sure.
exactly. Yes,
I love
exactly.
her.
And her outfits and like her hair and I remember when I was younger that scene in Day of the Rose where she's like Bloom's like Riven, I'm coming, and then she's like I've got
I
him, and
got
then
him.
she like yes, when she goes I've got him, and then she like pulls off her helmet, and then she's like
Oh,
"Uh," and then
yes.
and then I remember Riven like sounding so corny is like whoa, you're beautiful, and then like. And I like it. I like how Darcy at first was kind of like, okay, this guy's actually like really cute and kind of like
Yeah.
evil or so negative inside. Like I kind of like him, but I feel like so quickly she was just like, okay,
I
bye. Like,
know. I
like
know. I think that her
so
sisters got the better of her in that because they always made fun of her for liking him. And it's
yeah.
like, girl,
But it was sweet
let
that
her
she
be in
liked him.
love. Yeah.
Yes. But of course, but that is a four-letter word.
I know. I love that. I love
Yes.
it. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to dive even deeper into all things nostalgia and 4Kids dub of Winx Club, so don't go anywhere. If you're enjoying this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow the show on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released. Hey fairy friends, Lola Valentine here. In case you missed it, the Winx Forever podcast launched our very own Discord community. Discord has been a great place to connect with so many wonderful Winxers from around the world to talk about our favorite fairies. I wanted to try and recreate the magic of the original Winx Club online English forums from the old winxclub.com website. So we've got forums where you can post your own topics and respond to others' posts in every Winx topic imaginable. Click the invite link in the description below to join the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. And remember, the magic's in you. And we are back with Serena, or you might know her better as the gorgeous, gorgeous girl, girl underwater on TikTok. We are going to now kind of transition into our discussion about, gosh, just the nostalgia that comes with being a 4Kids Winx Club dub fan. And I mean, I want to start because right now, especially when we're recording this, for some reason, there is so much discourse like around the 4Kids dub. Like always, there always is in the Winx Club fandom for some
Yeah.
reason. But it's funny for some reason right now in this moment in time, like on Winx Twitter, there's so many people that just are talking like I don't know why people love like the 4Kids dub. I don't see how people could ever. I'm like, girl, same. Like how are you watching anything
Yes.
else? Like,
I feel the same way,
yeah.
like for anything else. And in a way, when they say that, I'm like, I get it because you like that one and you grew up with
Mm-hmm.
that one and whatever. But like, okay, I feel like this is gonna sound like I'm biased, but I'm trying to genuinely zoom myself out of
Mm-hmm.
any bias, of anything. If you were to show me an episode of Winx Club, the same one with the Cinnalum dub and the 4Kids dub, I feel like most people objectively would probably enjoy watching the 4Kids episode more
I
because
agree.
it's just like I think the quality of the dub and the voice acting and the everything is just more polished and more
Hmm.
characterized and more specific. Sometimes I feel like all of their voices in the Cinnalum dub sound the same to me besides Stella's,
And it
but I feel
feels
like
very slow. Like
yeah,
everything just feels like it moves like this. And you're like, why is this so sleepy? Like, why are we
yeah,
all whispering?
it
What is
is.
happening? What's going
Yeah.
on?
And I
To
just
me,
don't really think it's funny either.
yeah, it's got a interesting. So Cinelume is a dubbing company in Canada, and I have never been to Canada. I don't know. I've never like there a lot of things are dubbed in Canada. I mean, like a lot of the voice actors who were on the Cinelume dub of Winx Club were also on shows like Arthur and things like that. So, like the voice of Tecna in the Cinelume dub is the voice of Francine and Arthur. So there's
Oh,
yeah, so there's like a lot of
that's right.
crossover there. And but I don't know, for some reason, even though they were both dubbed at the same like point in time in the early 2000s, the Cinelume dub to me feels older. It feels
Yeah,
like it was made in the like mid 90s and like not, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it encapsulates like that time period very well, which the 4Kids dub did a really good job of. And I know it's really easy to like compare and contrast the two. Um, and especially as like 4Kids fans, it's easy to do that as well. But like I think like talking about like why specifically the 4Kids dub is so special to us, regardless of y- the Cinelim dub. I think that getting down
yeah,
like to the core of it, and it could be said for anybody that grows up with a specific dub of a show, or the Dutch side of the fandom like swears by their Dutch dub, and they fucking
yeah,
love that dub. And I've heard it. It's good, like it's a good dub. But man, like there's something to be said about growing up with a specific dub of a show and tying so many memories to it. I'm
yeah.
getting emotional. And that like it's
Oh,
just it's like those characters, they become everything to you. They become, and especially when you're so impressionable growing up with it, like I like Stella was my girl. I fashioned so much of who I wanted to be like after her. She's a girl's girl through and through in the 4Kids dub. She's not like this bratty princess. She is there for her friends and she sticks up for them. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful dub. And I think that people just disregarding it for liberties that it took and, some changes it made is
yeah,
really funny when you look at the Nickelodeon dub and people say, "Oh, but the Nick dub." So I'm like, "Girl, they took so much out of the Nick dub."
right. Genuinely, like they completely rewired that entire thing. Like,
There are
but
Nickelodeon fans out here, like Nickelodeon Winx Club fans, that didn't even know that Brandon and Sky switched identities in the first season. They cut that out completely.
but that's like one of the biggest like plot twists, I guess, of the first
Yes.
season. Like, so why got it? Like that was like that just adds to their lore. Like they were
And
really
it
just trying to get through
they said
just so they could like you skipped past all of the best
all of
seasons.
the
Like
best character development just to like get to
yeah,
all the new fucking content, which wasn't even that good. Like it wasn't
no,
even that good.
no.
Like they skipped the best parts, and it's so yeah. I in some other timeline for kids is thriving and still dubbing
I
the eighth
wish
season of Winx Club. We're in the wrong timeline,
I
you and I.
wish we were in that timeline so
I
bad because
know.
I think that I could really like the fourth season specifically if it was dubbed by
Mm,
four kids. I just kind of end up having to either pick Cinnaloom or Nick, and I'm just like,
I know.
I think I ended up picking Nick over Cinnaloom, to be honest, because the
Because at least
voices
they
at
have
least,
like
yes, at least they have
personalities.
specific voices. And I feel like some of them almost were trying to mimic the four kids
I think
voice,
so
like with
too.
Stella specifically, I think. Right? Which, like, okay, thank you. Like just
Yes, yeah.
a little
No, for
something.
real.
I really wish it was still four kids, but I completely resonate with that like emotionalness that you feel when you say
Hmm.
those were like, my friends, like those were my girls. Do you remember on YouTube, there was a couple channels, and I think they were Dutch, if I'm correct, because they had like very thick English accents, but they made these like Winx Club doll, like little skits and like movie type things with
Oh
their
my
dolls.
God.
And they were always like cussing a lot, and they were like,
Yes.
and it was like
Yes.
there was like Layla's wedding, like that was one of them, and there was like, oh my God, this there's this one called The Lost Shoe. And I've showed like all of my friends this. I've shown everyone I know. My mom can quote this because of how many times I'd watch it, but it's like The Lost Shoe part one. And like the thumbnail is like Musa and Stella, like, and it's just like she's like, "Hi, I am Musa. I am very rude, and if you don't like it, shut the fuck up." It's
Oh
just like goes a lot. It is the most like fried, like brain rot, like thing ever. And it's just these like Dutch girls just playing with their Weasel dolls, so
my God.
bizarre. And um, I will
I
send you
love this.
links to these to see. Like, I feel like you probably would
Yes.
just like it because it's just funny. But
I would love
oh,
that. I wonder where they are today. Like, what are these girls doing
yes,
now? Like, I want to know.
genuinely, I want to know too. And like, I would just be so envious of them. Like, I would just think like, wow, because they had all the enchanting dolls, they had all the
Yes.
disco dolls, they had
Oh my
all of
God, the disco
that
dolls. Oh,
disco,
they're so
Layla and
cute.
Musa and Bloom.
Oh my God.
God, you know what I would die for to this day? I've never owned her is the season three schoolgirl Musa.
Yes, the one that came in the skinny box.
Mhm.
Ridiculous. And those were
Oh,
cheap. Those were
yeah,
like what, like $5, $10? Like they were like, and
yeah,
like the actual like Magic Winx ones were like 15 or $20. Like they were all so affordable. Like I could buy them with like
yeah,
my tooth fairy money, if I saved up.
yeah.
Like it was like that affordable. Like,
Oh,
oh my
I miss
God.
that so bad. I loved watching those. Like, I thought I swear, like, the like chaotic, like
Yes.
random cussing nature of it is like what influences my humor to this day. Like, that is what like raised up my humor was these Dutch little girls playing with their wee dolls and cussing. It is so, and it still makes me laugh. Like, there's this one where there's this one where Stella, it's like Stella is like Sky has a crush on Stella and Bloom's devastated and Sky's like, "No, Stella, I love you." And Stella's like, "I don't care. You ruined Bloom's life, so this is what you get." And then she like hits him. And then
Yes,
she like
incredible.
goes back to Bloom and Stella goes, this is gonna sound really like stupid, but it's just like the voice gets me. She goes,
Yeah.
Stella goes, "Well, I broke up with him." And then Bloom is just like, "Thank you, Stella, but I still feel pretty bad." And then like they're like, "Let's go kick his butt." And then they'll like insert the actual transformation sequence and then
Stop.
like
Some
cut. It's
production
just
value.
no,
Okay.
they were so funny. And the ones where they like it's just so unhinged. Like I just loved it so much. And I wanted to be their friend so bad. And I just
Oh,
had like no idea who they
yes.
were, but I was just
Right.
sitting on my little desktop computer just being like, like just
Yes,
obsessed
yes.
with it. And I remember too, this is really specific, but there was this girl on YouTube. Her username was Bunny Broadcast, I think, and she actually I found out lived really close to me, like within a
Oh,
couple like cities distance. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my
we
God,
could
like
be
that's
real life
crazy. But I was
friends.
so young at this time.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, we could be friends, but like that never happened. But she was she was like one of the most popular like American Winx doll YouTubers at the
Yeah.
time. And her videos were so like, recorded on like a i like
Potato.
a MacBook camera or like literally an
Yeah.
iPod Nano or something.
Oh my
So
God.
horrible the quality. Like she was just like, this is my Winx dolls. Like it wasn't anything like immaculate, but that's what I like
Right.
about like that, like the innocence of that. But she had like she had ways. I don't know how she got all of these like European dolls,
Yeah.
but I remember she had Glam Magic Enchantix Musa, she had Layla, she had like those like Joki Preciosi, like ice skating
Yes.
ones from like the 3D thing. And she just had like concert Musa, I think, by the end
Yes.
of it. She just had like all of these like dolls, and I knew she was like American, and at the time I didn't have like the Enchantix ones or anything, and
Yeah.
I just remember just being like, oh my God, like how do you have those? And then I
I'm
remember like,
so curious. Yeah, like how did like that was like so that was early, early days. Early.
yes,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yes. And she was so cute too because she would make, do you remember? Oh my God. Do you remember when people would make their own custom like and transformations on like Microsoft Paint and try to
Oh
animate it?
my God, yes. And they were so choppy and like,
Yeah.
yes.
I
Oh
love
my
those.
God. It's so, we grew up in such a special time on the internet where, like, I mean,
Yes.
similar to you, that like Winx Club taught me how to be online. Like, it
Yeah.
was like, it was crazy. Like, were you ever in the forums, like on like 4Kids TV, like .tv or like
No.
winxclub.tv? It was such a
I
special
wish.
time. I think that like it because like I was like 9 and 10 when like Winx Club was like here in America. Like that was the only reason, like because I was like becoming like a tween or whatever. My parents let me
Yeah.
like online that young, and the only thing they told me was like, don't use your real name. I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
it's just been, yeah, it's just that's the only thing they told me about like internet safety in
Just
2004.
don't use your real name.
It's like,
That's
okay,
so cute though.
yes.
I
It was so cute.
I was I think 4 when it came out for the first time in America. So I think I was maybe just a little, like a couple years like
Yeah.
late to the party, just a little tiny bit, but I was still like
Oh,
there
it was
though,
still
like
there.
for
Yeah,
it
yeah.
that time. But I think like in terms of forums, like I just didn't really understand like what that was, I
Yeah.
think. So I was more so just like, oh, let's play dress up games. I remember there was this website called winxclub.us, I believe. And it was like
Yes.
this dress up game website that had all Winx Club dress up games. And it would play this playlist and it would play this song that I come to realize like, oh, like maybe 5 years ago that it was actually from the Bratz live action movie
Oh
playlist.
my God, no.
Yes, and it was like the song that's like, "It's my life,
Yes,
and
yes,
I'm
yes.
gonna live it tonight." They would play that on the playlist, and they would just play the same 5 songs over and over and over and over, and they were so burned into
God.
my brain. What about you though? Like, what was those forums like? Like, what did you get
Dude,
into on the internet with Winx
they
Club?
okay, so the forums were kind of like the Wild West. They did, first of all, I want to like commend like 4Kids TV like for having a safe space for kids, like literally for kids, like back then. The moderators were phenomenal. It's funny
Oh,
because I actually got my account banned from 4Kids because I was also like an aspiring YouTuber when that wasn't a thing. And I was like
Um,
sharing like my YouTube videos like in the forums, and they wanted to keep me safe because there was like no sharing, images of yourself, no sharing, things like
oh
that.
yeah.
So they had to remove my account because I was just out here like marketing
Uh,
my YouTube channel. But it was just funny because like they did such a good job like keeping kids safe and like giving them like a place to be themselves and to converse with each other. And like sure, like like I'm not like naive. I know that not everybody was a kid on that forum for sure.
right, of course.
But it was just such a respectful like place, and it really did like help me learn how to craft an internet persona kind of,
Yeah,
but to also like be able to express yourself and to connect with. I remember it was so sweet when I learned that there were forums specifically to talk about Winx Club online, because growing up, like I don't know about you, but like I didn't have any friends. Well, I had one singular friend, the friend that I got the Pixie Magic Layla for,
yeah.
who liked Winx Club with me. But then she grew out of it way quicker than I did, clearly. But she grew out of it super quick. Like it was maybe like a year and a half, and then she was done. And it was really sad. And so that's when I found the online community, and it was so sweet because I remember like I was like on my computer time because we had like the one family computer. and
Yeah.
and I remember running into like the living room or something and telling my parents about it. And like my dad specifically, he was like, "That's great. Now you can like talk about other people like with like that like the show too. Like that's great." Like he was
Aw.
genuinely like excited for me. It was like
Aw,
it was
that's
really
really
sweet.
cute.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it was just so cool, and I
Aw.
learned how to write well.
Yeah.
Like it was still bad, but it was still like I
Yes.
yeah, it was just like so many tools that I and like skills that I learned during my time of like just following Winx Club and like being online in the Winx fandom. Like, I mean, I'm a digital marketer now, and I like create content for a living basically. And like, I wouldn't have had those opportunities, I don't think, if like I wasn't in the Winx fandom
Yeah.
for all of those years. And
Wow.
yeah, it's like, it's crazy. It's like really, yeah, I get,
That's so amazing. The way that
yeah.
it like really does find itself in like almost everything, and the way
Mm-hmm.
that that folds into your life now. Like, I mean, even for me, like I feel like Winx Club was one of the main factors as to why I found myself interested in drawing and
Mm-hmm.
fashion. Like, I remember Winx Club being one of the first things that I ever had the thought of like, wow, like that outfit is really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Like the composition of that outfit is really good. And I felt
Yes.
like there's sometimes color palette or color combinations. I just love like color theory in general, like as an
Mhm.
artist, like with drawing and like character design and things.
Um, I do want to know because I definitely have some, but like, is there any like Winx Club for Kids dub moments that just like live rent free in your head?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Is it okay if I have like a few for this
Of
one? Because
course. Yes.
okay, so firstly, I feel like I've never heard someone point this out because it's really random. It's really random. Like just it isn't even really in context to anything. It's just a really
Uh-huh.
specific part. But to give you a bit of context, when I was younger, I was obsessed with the Miss Magics episode with the beauty pageant or the talent
Yes.
show. Like I could quote that entire episode from front to end. That was like the one that I would rewatch over and over. I think it's just because there was like so many different girls that you didn't see before, and they all were from
Yes.
like that one like aquatic looking one with like
Yes.
the
And it
big
was the first time
jacket.
she was like walking on her legs.
Yes,
Yes. Oh my
yes,
God.
and the girl with the pink like pom poms, like I just
Yes.
loved that whole thing. Like that episode was so good. And I loved watching Stella do like a cowgirl, like and the witches being there the whole time, like trying to ruin it. And obviously Mean Girls, the song playing. Like that it was just so ideal. Oh my god, and when Lucy was turned into Miss Popularis or whatever,
Yes, and the way
I
her
was just
hair
like,
would twirl around her.
that
So
that is
good.
like my highest like ideal of pulchritude, like
Mm.
my like that is like the most beautiful thing ever to me is like her with that baby yellow ballet outfit with her dark hair just like spinning around her and
Oh,
that music like the
it was so
yeah,
good.
so good. But there's this really okay, there's two, I'll give you two from this one of them being Bloom when she goes, whoa, she can be from Popularis. They're all friendly. Something's definitely off. Like, I love when she says that because it's just like, that is just like, so silly. Like, she
Yes.
can't be from Popularis. They're all friendly. Like, because it's like popular world or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was so funny. And then she like, the way she's like, like something's wrong here because of that one instance.
Yes.
But
It was so good.
also in that one, I think they're walking to where this is going to take place together,
Hmm.
and all of them are kind of like, whoa. And then Flora like walks forward and she goes, an arena packed with beauty queens. Do you
I'm
remember
kind of scared to go in there.
yeah,
Yes.
like, I don't know why, but I just like it's something about her tone of voice and the way she like drags out like the queens. Like I just remember like liking her when she said that. I don't know why.
Yes.
It's like sometimes I'll randomly just be like an arena packed with beauty queens. Like I'll just say that. I don't know why. It's so random. But
Oh,
another one, you know what really I think of all the time is that episode in season 3. I believe it's titled The Water Stars, if I'm
I love it.
correct.
Yes.
Just that episode when they are like transported into like that like universe and they're like bouncing on the
And they're all
clouds and like they're
floating. Oh,
yes, and like that wind like takes them and like just that whole I just love how it was kind of almost like it was so beautiful, but it was almost like ominous in like this certain
yeah.
way, just because it was so like immense. I mean, and also like when Musa, Stella, and Tekna had to make like
Oh,
those sort of sacrifices, like Stella's face with the dots and the line. I
that.
remember being like, that's kind of
Hello.
scary. Like that's
Yes.
kind of it creeped me out. But just for some reason, something about the one with Techno where she was like, yeah, you're either gonna have to, you know, just go here where you'll like never feel emotion again, I think it was,
Yeah.
or something. And she like had this glimpse of herself, but like completely like emotionless. And I know she already struggles to like express
Hmm.
emotions as it is. And I just thought it was so like the psychological aspects
Oh
of that
yeah.
were so good.
And
But I
when like when she went through so much character development in that season to come to that point and be like, "Oh, this was all for nothing." Like great.
yes,
Oh my
yes,
God, it's so powerful.
that episode was just so beautiful. Like the
Hmm.
the scene, like the fact that they decided to add that clip in there of them bouncing on those clouds and
Beautiful.
but it was weird because like they didn't know where they were or like
Yes.
and then I remember too when there was like some sort of wind that happened, like Bloom being outside of like that tree when it like brushed like her hair and her hair was like, like it was
Yes.
just like just those kind of moments when I was younger, it would make me want to cry. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
if it was just so beautiful that I wanted to cry, but I don't know. I just like I remember that episode really vividly, the Water Stars
Hmm.
episode. I also I don't know why I just thought of this. I always think of when they're in class with Whizgiz, was it? Like the little guy.
Yes, the little
And
guy.
yes, and I remember when he's like, Decappadumpkin. And then everyone goes, Decappadumpkin.
Decapitated.
I don't remember like
And
I
then
used
like
to think that.
Spica like is like it's stuck on her head.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then
He's
like
like, what do
he
I
pulls
do?
out,
What do I
yes, and he pulls
do?
out his grandpa turned into a mouse.
Yes. And he
So
goes,
good.
hey, thanks, Wizzy. So stupid.
It's so good though. I love
No,
it. Oh
it's
my
so good.
gosh. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I also like when Musa, I don't know what episode this is from. It's from the first season when she goes, she's gonna get mused. And Flora
She's
goes,
gonna get
you get
mused.
mused. What's that?
What's that? I love that. It's so good. It's so good because it's like it feels like 4Kids didn't have a problem making fun of itself as well. Like
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, what if Musa said this?" And they're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Flora can
Like,
say that." You know?
yeah. I like love that. I just love how Flora would be like, oh my God. Also, I think this is the same episode where Bloom and Tekna are kind of like bickering about
Oh my
what they should
god.
do about Stella. And I just think it's Tekna's like accent, but she's like, I'm sorry if I care about our friend. And then Bloom goes, Tekna, and then Tekna goes, Bloom. Like she says
Yes.
it so
Yes.
thickly.
It's
Like
so
she's like,
good.
Bloom. It was just like I could hear her like voice just saying Bloom like that. Like so
Over and
there's always
over.
so many, but that's
I
specifically the
know.
Miss Magics ones. I think of those all the time. I don't know why, but I just loved that episode. But what about you
Oh
though?
my
Which
god.
ones like stick in your brain?
For some reason, like when in season 3, the first episode when this is such a little thing, but like when they're on the beach and Stella they're talking about finding this dress and they're like, "Oh, show us." And Stella goes, "Here?" Like her little inflection at the
Yeah.
end is just so goofy and
Yes.
I love it.
Here? And then she's like, well, I guess.
Yeah. Well, okay. Like Karen is
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
she
oh
does
my
say well.
gosh,
Oh,
she's so funny. Like I love all of it. And Day of the Rose is a big episode for me, but like something that like every time I see it though is the of uh what is it called? Spelled. Episode 9 in season 1. It's
yes.
like this episode is like a perfect episode. It's a perfect Winx Club episode for me.
Yeah.
But Stella, when like she's in Muse's room, like just like absolutely just like antagonizing her,
Yes,
and then
tearing them apart.
yes, and when she's like in the floor, like what did I say? What did I do? And Flora, screams out Stella, but then it immediately cuts to Bloom saying, "Now I know her name, Daphne." And it's so funny because it's like she mentions like a name right after like the words they're like Stella's name was just like blurted out in the last like it's just so
Yeah.
goofy because I always like think like for a split second she's gonna say Stella, like for
Right.
some reason it's so stupid but it's so goofy, like I love it.
I
um
get what you're
it's
saying.
it's so weird.
It's like you
um
would think that when you're little. Like
yes, yeah, like
you're
literally
like just
like it's
Stella?
yeah, Stella,
Duh.
hello, yeah, what? It's so
Oh,
goofy.
that's so cute.
um Yeah, and yeah, Day of the Rose was always like my favorite when I was little because I lived for like Ribbon drama. And so like
Yeah.
obviously like everyone, it doesn't matter if you like the 4 Kids dub or not, but like 4 Kids dub Bloom telling enough Ribbon is like
Yes.
the best thing. It's so good.
That episode just makes me think of the words waste of good oxygen. Like that one where she goes, "You're totally cocky, totally boring, waste of good
Waste of good
oxygen."
oxygen.
Like, wow, she really said that he's a
She
waste of
went
space.
in on
Like,
him and
what?
like
And then she goes, "What? I thought we were just kidding, right?" After
gaslit
she
the man. Absolutely gaslit him. Like, what? I thought we were just kidding. No,
She
girl,
literally,
you
she's
don't call
like, "You were just kidding, right?"
you don't
Like,
call someone. And she dumped water on him too. Like,
yeah,
Bloom, you're going too far, my girl.
I love her. Like, I love
So
that she,
good.
like, I like that maybe like a character can sometimes just be like a little like too mean or something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like that because like there are people in real life who can kind of just go a little far if they're like trying to
Yeah.
like joke in a mean way or something, and then they like feel bad or whatever. Like, I feel like they don't usually give, which I guess I don't really know if it was intentional, but just for her to say all of that and be like,
Mm-hmm.
"What? Like, oh, you're just
Yeah.
kidding," and then feel bad, but like what she said was so mean, like really, really degrading stuff. So I don't know. I just like I like that. I don't know why. Like I just think it's an interesting trait. I like from that
Yeah.
episode when that lady is like dancing and all of a sudden she like kind of is
Yes.
mimicking like Daphne's like callings to
It's
Bloom, and
so
I th-
good.
it's so pretty. That girl is so pretty. And I like when she goes, "Come to me, Bloom." I used to think that was so funny.
Come find me. Yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And
Oh
her
my
voice,
god.
Daphne, the most like ethereal, like mysterious, like where she'd be like, "Come find me." Like the echoing. I used to
Yeah.
think that that is what God would look like when I was younger.
Ooh, I mean, she could. She could.
Right? I wish God was just her, like
Yeah.
genuinely just
Yeah.
Daphne.
I mean, the parallels, you
Right.
know, are pretty good. Are pretty good. Oh my
I
god.
I love that you understand like these quotes because I could never say any of these things to someone that I just know on a day to day and them know what I'm
Right?
talking about ever.
I know. It's so special too. Like it's such a like niche special interest that like only a select few
Yeah,
of like elite people like understand.
elite people. And I just like those are just things that stay in my head. Like I've never said to somebody like an arena packed with beauty queens. I've never said that to a person in my
I
life.
know.
It just like
I know.
stays in there. I also love, I just had this other thought. The season, I don't know why season 3, episode 1, like really sinks into the brain. I don't know why. Like
Yes.
there's just so many things I think about it. But um I love when the whole sequence of like the super fantastic, absolutely totally that, and they're like hotter, cooler, more glamorous, supermodels, and like they're like poses, and then
I
like the
love
song
it.
is like uh, like I just like remember when I saw that when I was a kid, I was like
Yes, yes.
wow, like that's pretty, like, and their outfits were
Mhm.
so like
They were
funky too, like
so cute. I loved
yeah.
the red dress that Bloom had on.
Oh my god, and when Stella has that dress and she like puts up like her sunglasses and she's like in that
Yes.
pose, like oh my god. And then when she goes, "I'm going to wear my princess bow." Like I remember her, I can hear her saying that, and I can hear Kimura being like, "The session is 9/10 of the law."
Yes. Oh my god. And Technic going, snap. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
Yes.
And then when she says to Flora, she's like, "Whoa, what are you made of? Gumdrops and sugar plum pies?" And then she's like, "Hey, don't discard my girl Flora." Like, oh my god. I
Oh
was
my
thinking
god.
like, wow. Like they were about to like scrap.
Oh yeah. Not if Bloom can help it. She's like,
Right, of
let's go find
course.
that dress now, Stell. I also love that in the Four Kids dub, and I don't from me rewatching the dubs like side by side for the podcast, like I don't remember this happening in the Cinelume dub, but I could be wrong. But like them having little cute like nicknames for each other, like Stell and
Yeah.
like Tech and like things like that. Like that's so cute and like very
It
like I mean
is so
like
sweet.
it's so sweet and it's like so like you can tell how close knit they are because they got like they call each other like shortened version of their names. Like that's so
Yeah.
cute. Oh
The way it would really create like a sense of personalness between
yes.
them. I think that's why, like, that's honestly like a big thing. I feel like you pointing that out, like
Mhm.
the way that they'd be like, they would call Flora like Flo sometimes, I'm pretty
Yes,
sure.
yes, yes. Ah,
Like, that's so
yes.
sweet. Like, it made you feel like they all were getting to know each other at the same time you're getting to know them. And it's just
Yes.
like basically you're just a part of it. It's
Hmm.
so cute.
And I think that's too why like season two was so cool because you had this already established friend group and then you're welcoming in a new one and the way that like they all got to know Layla and like the way they
Yeah.
all got to like Layla was very like standoffish at first, but like the way that they kept like welcoming her in and like they didn't like they didn't hold it against her that she was like standoffish at first. It was just
Yeah.
so like it's a perfect show. Like it's not a perfect show. It's very flawed, but like it's perfect.
Right. Right.
Like it is.
Well, it has like that duality, and it's like you. I think in a way, like humans are like that. Like they
Mhm.
are kind of perfect as what they exactly are, but they're also like incredibly flawed at the same time. And I feel like
Yes.
that's what gives it so much heart and soul. I really just like I'm really sometimes I think to myself, like, I'm really happy that I was born in the period that I was to catch
Yeah.
that when it was coming out. Like, I feel like in the grand scheme of like what timeline you could be born in as a
Yeah.
human, like, or like even in even in like that chunk of like 10 years per se, like
Yeah.
to be born in the time where you just like that rare little like glimpse where you could have been born and like
Mm.
caught it and happened to resonate with it and like be obsessed with it. It really is like an obscure group of people, I think, that
Mhm.
love it. And it's funny because everyone who does love it so much, it always like means the world to them.
Yes.
And I think that just goes to show the impact that it's truly had on anyone who had like the privilege of like coming across it like on 4Kids during that
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
I just can't even imagine not having them be a part of my life. Like it just makes me want to watch it right now so
I
bad.
know.
Like
I know, literally.
and I
Like
wish we could
it
watch it together. Like
I
that would be
know.
so fun.
It makes
And
me it makes me so mad because it's like I was definitely like bullied like as a kid for liking some of the things that I liked for sure. And
yeah.
like for people and especially like when freaking like Fate, the Winx Saga, came on the scene like 4 years ago, like when people on Twitter were like, "You ruined my childhood." I'm like, "Bitch, who? Where? What childhood? You guys were not watching this with me on Saturday mornings. Like, where? Who are you?"
Never. Yes, yes, because it's like, what are you talking? Like, you have no
Oh my
idea how
god.
this stings for
Yeah,
like
it's like,
someone who
oh
actually was really there and like, oh my god, did you play the Mission Enchantix DS game?
yes. And I only
Oh,
recently just got it back because an internet friend of mine, so nice of her, sent me all of her Winx Club video games that she had. She's
wow,
just
that's so
so
nice.
kind. And the one that I played the most was the Codex game on my Game Boy Advance.
Yeah,
And
yes.
that music to me is like very nostalgic and like that gosh, that video game like got me through like a lot of hard times and like I just oh my god.
Um,
It's just
I
so crazy.
yes, because it's like sometimes like that. I mean, most of the time, I think as a kid, like there's so sometimes like scenarios where like you can't really get out of what you're going through easily and you're kind of just stuck in it. So you use things like, watching Winx Club or like playing a
Mm-hmm.
video game or like playing with your dolls or having whatever it is to use as escapism. And like you can think back and thank in a way those things for just being there for you, even though they're not like
Yeah,
living things,
totally.
but it's so real to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really do like, I mean, I have so many dolls in my room, but like when I look at my Winx dolls, like I just really do see like I see them as like people. Like I really do
Yeah,
because
it's just like
I'm
so
just
comforting.
yeah,
I
and they're
love it.
so just uh I like it's so special that I just can't find the right words and then I just feel like, oh well what do I do now? Like you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
just feels
yeah.
so like amazing that like after like you move on from like thinking about it or like
Mm-hmm.
talking about it even like right now you're just kind of like okay well now what? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I know. And I think that that's why, in some form or fashion, for me, like Winx Club will always be like a part of my life because it's been a part of my journey for so long that I
yeah.
mean, like over more than half of my life, like I've been following this franchise. Like that's insane to me. But it's so special in so many ways. And I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for this show. So like this is like
Yeah.
it's
It's
so
so nice.
special. If you're enjoying this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow the show on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released.
Who is your least favorite Winx Club member? I'm curious. And also, I want to know whose Enchantix look is your favorite as well.
Mm,
Huh.
okay. Dang, these are so hard. Um, I think that my growing up, my least favorite was Tekna. I think because I related the least to her, which is so sad. Which is funny because she was, I got for Christmas in 2004, I got Bloom and Tekna together as like a
Cute.
Christmas present. And so she was like my one of my first dolls, literally. And I loved her and like she's so nostalgic for me in that sense. But I think that because I didn't like I had to grow to appreciate her, like I had to like grow up to appreciate Tekna.
Yeah.
I think that's why like she's such an under like appreciated character in the show because she wasn't like the super girly one, but like and I just loved like Stella, obviously. So like
Yeah.
she was like the complete opposite of Stella, essentially. Um, so I think that I'll say that for just because it took me a long time to warm up to Tekna, and then Enchantix wise, my favorite like aesthetic and like look want to say Stella, but like I know in my heart of hearts it's Bloom. Like Bloom's
Yeah.
is iconic. And I got to borrow my friend Morgan's Enchantix cosplay for MomoCon last year. And like I like she has like, the hair and stuff. And so like being like for just a few hours, borrowing that cosplay, like being Bloom Enchantix was just like an absolute dream.
Oh,
It's like the fact that like yeah, it's just like it's so iconic to me. The Secret of Lost Kingdom like artwork, like there's one like wallpaper of Bloom like being like "Ugh," whatever and
yeah.
like the colors, it's my PC like background like it's just so
Oh,
beautiful. Like yeah,
yes.
Bloom
Something
is my
about
final answer.
Bloom.
Yeah.
That's so that those choices are so like it's I started laughing when you said Tekna because I was thinking like, is it gonna be Tekna? Is it gonna be Tekna? Because she's always been my least favorite as well. And I
Yes.
was just like, I wonder, I wonder. And then immediately you were like, so I think it's gonna have to be Tekna. I was
Like
just like,
poor girl.
right.
Like I love her character develop. I think that now as I'm an adult, like I think that her character arc is my favorite of all of the girls because she
Yeah.
grew so incredibly much in the first three seasons. Um but man, yeah, she was a hard one for me to warm up to
Me
for sure.
I don't know why. I think for me, I don't know what it is. This is very like a very surface level reason to not really like techno, but I just, I don't personally resonate with like short hair, like at
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Like, and I know that's like a really specific thing, but I think when I was younger, which I mean, I think you can like, I mean, like the way that my hair's like down to here now, like I think is telling that I really love like long hair.
Yes.
But especially as a kid, I think growing up, growing up as like a trans girl, obviously like the
Mm-hmm.
world didn't perceive me as a girl at the time.
Yeah.
And I always like felt it.
Hmm.
I remember like when I was really little, I just thought I was like them in a way.
Yes.
And only until I really started getting into like second, I would say like first, second grade, when everything started to become very like gendered in school,
Mm.
is when I started realizing that I was like, oh, like people think I'm different than like my
Yeah.
sister or like whatever. And I was being grouped with like boys and things. And I just remember like being so confused that people thought that I was a boy. It was so weird. It was really
Yeah.
bizarre as a kid. And it made me sad because I think at that point, I almost started to feel like more envious of the
Mm.
Winx Club characters in a way,
Yeah.
alongside like being one of them. And
Mm-hmm.
because it was just like, I felt like that being able to experience like that existence of like being very
Oh.
feminine like they were was so out of reach for me, and I wanted to be that so badly because I felt it like
Yes.
in my soul and in my heart. And I think that's why I resonated mostly with all of the most like feminine attributes of the characters, but
Mm.
the hair especially, like I remember
Yeah.
like being on a swing, like when I'd be swinging as a kid, I used to imagine like a cartoon image of
Oh,
Stella's like blonde ponytails like going
yes.
back and forth as I swung on the swing set
Ah,
because I wanted it so bad. I thought it was so beautiful. And
yes.
I think I almost like this is so funny, but I almost like resented Tekna because she didn't have long hair. Like I
Mm.
didn't understand
Yes.
like
Yeah.
why she didn't have long hair. But it was weird though, because Musa's hair was short too. But
Right, but
the
it's in
fact that
pigtails and like,
right, the fact that it was those
yeah.
pigtails, it was like cute to me still, so I didn't really care. And then I remember in the third season, which fun fact, I've actually come to evolve to the point where I do prefer her short ponytails. But
Ooh.
when she did grow them though, I was like, oh, thank God.
I
Like now she has long ponytails. I just thought the hair was so beautiful in Winx Club. I think it was ever since then, it's been such a big part of my identity. Like I just think
Yeah.
it's pretty. Like I just love
Yes.
like I love hair. Like I think it's so beautiful. I just love it.
Oh,
So I think that's literally the only reason because I like Techna's
yeah.
character. I like her development. I like her personality. I like her clothes. I like her color palette. I like her transformations.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish,
She had long
like,
hair.
I wish she had long hair. Like, I don't know. I know that's so like trivial, but it has like a
No.
deeper feeling for
Yeah.
me. But
No, for real.
I have, I've come to appreciate her a lot more too, though. I really try, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I still and this is no shade to anyone who resonates with like a short haircut,
Yeah.
but a sense I don't, and I think because it's so attached to like my identity as a person,
Mm-hmm.
I just am like, I just am always thinking, God, she'd be so beautiful with like a bust down in that color.
Oh
And like the
my
fact
god.
that the Tekna Enchantic style
As
does
the
have longer
long
hair.
hair.
Oh, thank God. Like I'm just like,
Yes.
thank God. At least we have that for Tekna. And I
That's so
love
true.
that doll. Like she's so
Oh.
cute. But yeah,
I'm
I
curious,
understand.
and you don't have, this doesn't have to be in the podcast or if you don't want to share, share what you're comfortable with, but I am curious because we do see a lot of what we now, whether we perceived it like this as a kid or not, um, that sense of like, I don't feel like what the world is telling me I should be in
Yeah.
Myrta's storyline. And she
Yes.
is even, like talked about as a trans fairy.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to you that like your favorite show had such, an impactful like storyline for a character, now
Yeah.
looking back at it?
I do feel comfortable like talking about this for sure,
Yeah.
for the recording, but
Okay.
I was just saying this to, oh, actually, I was trying not to spoil it to my partner when we were
Right.
watching, but we were in like it was one of the episodes where they were in Cloud Tower and Myrta was like kind of like saying going like negating whatever Icy Darcy and Serena were talking about, like in the lunchroom, and
Mhm.
he looked at me and he was like, is she gonna like transition to being like a fairy? And I was like, I don't know. But I was
Oh
kind of like, how did you know that? But I was like, maybe. But then I was like, oh my God, like that's right. And I I never really like when I was like younger, I don't think I was
yeah.
able to comprehend that per se, but I always like nowadays like the way that she really is like a an idea of like a trans person,
Hmm.
but just in a different context. It's not gender, it's like,
Yeah.
your
Magical identity.
yeah, your
Yeah.
magical identity. And the way that like that just was so unheard of in like that
Hmm.
universe, like that just wasn't even like really a thing to any of those
Yeah.
people, like anyone else besides her. And the way that she, would just be so bullied for it, so picked on, told like she didn't belong, like, and but you could just see it in her that like it's one of those things where like you could talk to Myrta one time and you could see that she, though she was a witch and in a
Hmm.
witch's body per se, that she like was not of that nature. Like you
Yeah.
could just like you could tell just by talking to her, and people could see that. And it feels the same way I think in
Hmm.
life with trans people, because it's like, you know, sometimes you can look back on like a baby photo and you can see in their eyes, like you can just see
Yeah.
it. It's always the eyes for me, is like you can just like see it in their eyes that they aren't that gender that they are
Hmm.
perceived as because of the way they're born. Like I always notice that with trans girls specifically, like trans femme people, you like they've always have the most like
Yeah.
starry eyes. Like you can just see it. Like you can just tell, and I think it's a really beautiful story with Myrta. I think it's actually really interesting that they added that in there, to be honest. Like that's kind
For it
of
being 2004, very progressive.
yes. And I
Very.
wonder, do you think that they were trying to like tell a story of like a trans person, or do you think it was just like kind of an idea for like
It
this
it might have
universe?
been more of an idea maybe at the time because I mean, I don't want to discredit Eugenio Straffi and like the Italian creators, but I don't think
Yeah.
anybody was thinking too hard about any of this when they were making
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I think that it like for them to like to have the tact enough to be like this is something that kids will struggle with because I'm sure like, you know, I mean, people remember being kids and being and remember, like how hard it is to fit in and how hard it is to fit in when you don't feel like you do or when you clearly don't, and so like it's I think that them having a, like I guess like awareness enough about a kid's experience that they would resonate with a storyline like Myrta's,
Yeah.
I think is really cool. And the fact that we can now And I think the Four Kids dub, the way that they handled it was really beautiful because, it was, I don't know if it was that overt, being transcoded in the original, but for Four Kids to make it that way, I think was
Yeah,
really sweet. I think
I
that was really
I
cool. And
love it.
I think that because Four Kids, which like maybe this is, I don't know where Cinnaluma is in Canada, but Four Kids was in New York. Like New York is
Yeah.
crazy diverse. And so like the fact that they were interacting with so many different people on a daily basis and creating shows for kids who look and are different in all sorts of different ways, like I think that that just like really shows through in the Four Kids dub, and I love it. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that they were
Yeah.
from New York. And that makes a lot of sense. Like if you sit there and like put all those little pieces together in your head,
Hmm.
that it could certainly be like an intention. And
Hmm.
even if it's not necessarily like so
Yeah.
specifically supposed to be that, it's like
Right.
the way that it exists there to
Mm.
add a certain meaning to it, like from who you are, is
Hmm.
really sweet. And I love, like, if you even think about how, like, she was bullied and she was kind of in like the around the wrong like crowd of people, and
Mhm.
she was different and she was realizing it and kind of thinking like, what's wrong with me, like what's going
Yeah.
on. Then she, even like her being turned into the pumpkin, and she was in there for
Mm.
like a minute, and then when she
Yeah.
finally came out, like of like from being like in that pumpkin,
Uh,
or being the pumpkin, very quickly all of a sudden you see her in season 3 as like a whole ass fairy. And
yes.
in a way it's sort of like she realized these things. She realized she was different. She realized that she wanted to be a different kind of person that she feels in her
Mhm.
heart. And I feel like almost her becoming the pumpkin for like an extended period of time is almost the way you have to like go inward first and think like,
Mhm.
who really like am I, and who have I always been, and how have I always felt, and what do I really want, And
Yeah.
then like the next time you see her, clearly some time has passed, but she is like a whole fairy. Like she's literally a
Yeah.
fairy now. And like the way that she actually did, like she was able into this magic dimension to shift that part of her is like very reminiscent, I think, in the way like being on hormone replacement therapy is in real life. Like you can like
Mhm.
actually physically become what it is you've always felt internally. And
Yeah.
the way that she was just like glowing when she was that fairy, I mean, I know she was trying to like stop that herd of a zombie witches, as it says, but like you could see it in her like
Yeah.
eyes, so that she was like, yup, like look at my
Yes.
wings. Like she ate.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I just think that's really sweet. And I really wish that sometimes that there was more. I think
Mm.
nowadays it's starting to be this way, but at the time it would have been really cool if there was trans characters in shows, because
Yeah.
I think so many people of like my age range, like, I'm like almost mid 20s now, like you just didn't even really hear about what a trans person was
Yeah.
until you were like a preteen and
Mhm.
stuff. And nowadays I feel like people growing up, they're starting to transition like way sooner because
Yeah.
they have access to what that is, and like things are just
Mhm.
changing. But like it would have been really cool. So the fact that this does exist in Winx Club is like
Mhm.
just another reason for me to be like, check, 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 check. Like I just love that.
Yes.
I think it's so
Oh,
cute.
me
Um
too.
and she's cute. She's such a cute character. I really wish she had a doll, and I really wish that Lucy had a doll. And also,
Yes.
I love Lucy. I love Lucy. I do love Lucy though. I do love
Yeah,
Lucy
Lucy's
and
a fun
Marta.
character. I think that like them together are like so sweet. And like the fact that like one's a witch and one's a fairy. Like, oh, it's so cute.
Yes.
It's so
And
cute.
she's interesting too. And okay, I don't know if they drew her facial features in the way they did because they were trying to make her like look like ugly, because I feel
Right.
like they referred to her as ugly a lot in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think she was ugly. I thought her face was so like, I thought her
Very
nose
long
was
and
so
slender.
pretty. Yes, like
Yeah.
she was just so like she looked so
Yes.
like cunt. Like she just looked
Yes,
so
yes,
like
yes.
like, and I was always just like, wow, she's gorgeous. And then I remember in the show they started to emphasize, like especially in Miss Magic's, that she felt
Mm.
like ugly and that people thought she was ugly.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of being like, she ain't ugly. Like, what are
I
they talking
know.
about? She's
Yeah.
cute. She looked so different than everyone else. And I thought she was
Mm-hmm.
so cool. Her clothes were so, oh my God, the Cloud Tower and the witches and their fashion.
I loved it.
Oh,
It was so good.
it
In
was,
season 2, when Stella's like, "Could you imagine me as a witch and her little witch
yes.
outfits?"
She has those like high up ponytails with like the red
Yeah.
and black outfit.
Oh my god.
Like
Yes, more of that.
oh my God, you know what else I loved when, I don't remember what episode this was. I think it was still the one where the, what is it? The date with disaster.
Hmm.
When they're going through Stella's closet and Flora finds that like black, like ghostly dress, and she's like, "Can I borrow this
I would
sometime?"
have loved to have seen that on Flora. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
right. I
Oh,
like that Flora was like, "Ooh, I like this one
she's like, I
specifically."
don't own much black.
Yes, like that's so cute. Like those little tiny details, like, because after that scene, I think to myself, "Oh, Flora has an appreciation for like, goth fashion or whatever you would say, with that like
Hmm.
whimsy goth or something, as people
Yeah.
say." But like I just thought that was so cute. I was like, oh, Flora wants to wear that like ghostly black dress. Like she doesn't ever wear clothes like that. That's so cute. She's so dynamic. Like I really think like the dynamicness of it is really nice. Like all of the
Yeah.
characters are very fleshed out, and they don't always, say the thing that they would typically say.
Yeah.
Like in that instance, the way Flora like wasn't like, "Oh, I love that flower
Floral
dress." She was
dress.
like,
Yes, like
"Yeah,
I feel like they lose a lot of that. Like, I mean, I feel like 4 Kids gave them that. I feel like 4 Kids like
yeah,
were the ones that like injected a lot of that in there. I mean, Winx Club in and of itself is pretty dynamic in a sense, but 4 Kids really like cashed in on it. Like they really like went there with all these characters. And I think that that's why as 4 Kids fans, we cannot relate really well with later seasons because they just lose so much of that individuality. And I
yeah,
mean, even from a Cinelume standpoint, they lose so much individuality when you get to the Nick dub, and it's just so apparent. It's so sad.
yes,
Oh my
yeah."
gosh. But yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I do want to wrap up our conversation by inviting you to share with our listeners of like where they can find you online, and yeah.
Okay, well, on social medias, I go by Girl Underwater, with the E is like a three though.
Hmm.
And that's me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I would say if you maybe want, on my YouTube channel, I do have a doll YouTube channel where I make doll
Yes.
content. Honestly, lacking in the Winx Club department, just because I genuinely can never get more. They're just too
Right.
expensive and hard to find. But yeah,
They're so expensive.
on there, on TikTok, on Twitter, Instagram, whatnot. Yeah, you can find me there if you like. And also, please, 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 please subscribe to the Wings Forever podcast
Oh
and
my
like
God.
and comment, please, because it is
Thank
so
you.
special and it deserves all of the love and immense support, with all of the effort that the lovely Lola Valentine puts into this
Oh,
amazing space. And I'm so grateful for you, Lola Valentine. I just keep saying your name full because I think it's so pretty. Like that name is so
thank
gorgeous,
you.
Lola Valentine. But that's why I keep wanting to say the full thing. But I'm so grateful to have being able to talk with you, and I'm really
Yes.
grateful for your time. And this was so wonderful and lovely, and I feel so happy in my heart.
I know. I feel so full right now. Thank you so much. It's so kind.
Of course.
Wow. Definitely check out Serena's content on YouTube and on TikTok and on Instagram. And until next time, guys, I'm Lola Valentine, and this is the Winx Forever podcast. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes drop. The theme for the Winx Forever podcast is the song She Makes Magic by Big Wild.